I'm live.
Hello, friends.
How you doing, buddy?
Living the dream. I gotta go appliance shopping later today. Not really looking forward to that.
Say that again?
I have to go appliance shopping later today since
Oh,
that new house and holy shit, there's some technology in refrigerators now that I did not realize.
isn't that what Amazon's for? Do you have to physically go?
I mean, we looked on the internet, but I want to see it in person. Maybe that makes me old school.
That's a good point.
What's up, Kevin? How you doing, buddy?
Just got home from work. Not too kind of getting set up.
Ah, no worries. Take your time. We'll give it a couple minutes for some people to come in.
Take your time.
Yeah, I'm pretty much good to go anytime.
All right, before we get started, Mike, are you cooking anything?
No, I'm not cooking anything, but well, yeah, some stuff is on, but yeah, it's good. We won't have any fires tonight.
Okay, good.
Can't promise it though. My smoke alarm's just so sensitive, which I guess is good, but I mean, I'll just be cooking regular, and I'll have the fan vent on. It'll still start going off.
I just posted the tribute picture in the chat.
Yeah, that picture's great. Who made that?
That was Michael made that one.
That's awesome. Kevin, I'm going to post a link to the room in your chat as well.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Kevin. We've seen you enough times on the Unite DeFi and within the BUSD buffet chat, so we're honored to say the least.
It's a pleasure to do stuff like this. It's great.
No,
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, real pleasure to have you. And I have to say, I'm not particularly active in the chat, but I have to say I've been a holder of BUSD Buffet since day one. So yeah, I think you guys are doing a great thing.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, your volume's been awesome too. Your kitchen's really doing a great job with that.
Yeah, it's been nice having that the B app and the B kit both running, especially right now with B just going all over the place.
Yeah, it really is. I'm hoping it can. Hopefully, it starts to go up a little bit closer to our launch.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah, we're launching at the end of the month and kind of in the community building phase right now.
Oh yeah, I remember those days.
Doesn't it seem like it was so long ago?
Yeah. Honestly, it's been 2 months. But that 2 months feels more like 2 years at this point.
It really does. I was in my last AMA earlier, and I was talking about I had only made my first video just coming up on 3 months ago, and I'm like, oh my god, it literally feels like it's been 5 years ago.
Yes.
Everything in crypto just moves so fast.
Pretty sure I've aged at least 3 years in the past 2 months.
Yeah, yeah. You probably been keeping some late hours, and you have a now. Do you work from home or are you outside in the office?
I work Monday through Friday at an office, but the fortunate thing for me is I'm an IT manager. So if I need to like take an hour or two and just book a conference room, I just put on the note vendor call, and I was like, oh, he's talking to whatever. Nobody questions it.
Nice. That's a good thing for sure. All right, well, we got a couple people in, and I'm sure some more people will start to trickle in as we get going. I'm sure EJ will find his way in here at some point.
Hey, Mike, are you recording just for people that may catch this on the European time or Pacific?
Yes, I am recording it, and it's live streaming right now. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, it is.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, man.
Cool.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, we might as well get started. Thank you guys for joining us today in Wanker Token Chat. We have BUSD Buffet visiting us today, and we're going to go over some things from both projects. And thank you so much for coming into our group.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoy reaching out to other communities. Again, just creating the atmosphere of crypto right now is getting a lot better than it used to be. So more than happy to hop into other AMAs and go into other Telegrams, Discords, and just kind of again make friends with everybody.
That's good. I mean, that's just such a far cry difference from the way BSC has really even just crypto in general has operated in the past. For some of you
Yeah,
guys who have been in crypto for a number of years, you guys probably have known that most projects kind of seem to have been out for themselves. I think what everybody's kind of doing, reaching out to each other and making friendships, is really going a long way to validate all these new projects, and also just pay it forward for the people who have helped you, when you were getting ready to launch too.
yeah, absolutely. It's let's say leading into to Anchor. It's great to see again resources being made available to people because it really was everybody. They may have been a team, but they were a lone wolf kind of team because you're figuring things out on your own. You didn't really have anywhere to go to ask questions. Like you figured it out, and you either overcame the obstacles, or it buried you.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's definitely a good thing, and that's what we're trying to do over at Wanker. Just from speaking to so many different tokens and groups and devs, they all seem to kind of say the same thing. It's hard to find the type of services that we need in our budget because especially with new projects. They may not have a very big budget, to find content creators or, web developers or graphic designers, to do their websites and their artworks. So that's what we're kind of trying to do over there is, create a platform that, providers, and artists and freelancers can, list their services and, tokens such as yourselves, can shop, according to, what your budget is and, what you're looking to do.
Yeah, definitely. That's a need that has definitely needed to be filled for some time. So it's good to see this coming about.
Yeah, we're definitely excited to get it going, and just being a low tax token too. We're going to try to be a little bit different than some of the other reflection tokens that are out there to make this token a little bit more easily tradable. To where it's only a 10% round trip to get in and out of it. As opposed to having to wait till you've cleared the buy tax and the sell tax. To start making some profit, and we're hoping that that'll really help keep the volume up.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a really good idea.
And I think
Awesome.
that's where where we saw a lot was that obviously there was the huge hype around kind of high tax tokens, and I think you've done a great job at getting the utility out there early and really holding on to that volume. A lot of other projects haven't had the utility out early enough and kind of stagnated, and you have to wait a bit of time before things really kick into gear. And that was really the main reason why we went for such a low tax token was how while we build things up and build that kind of credible pre-vetted space which everyone can kind of have confidence in is everyone can jump in and out. It's there's going to be people who diamond hand, there's going to be people who trade it daily, and I think that, we kind of, well, I know personally, and a lot of the guys who are kind of involved have kind of missed is when that initial hype dies from launch, you don't sell, you hold, but you want the kind of a little bit of volume and activity there to keep the kind of the rewards and things going. So that's what we're really hoping and trying to be a little bit different, because low tax tokens are pretty rare in the space at the moment. And that's one way that we're hoping to kind of combat that volume challenge is by, saying it's fine to trade, it's a lot easier to take profits when you've got kind of a 10 or 15% increase or decrease on a day, and you're only having to eat 5%, to get out, rather than 15, 20, 25 even in some examples, right?
Yeah. That's and to that point, like you're saying, the taxes have been steadily increasing amongst projects. Which, again, if you've got a use case for those taxes, that's one thing. If it's supporting the ecosystem you've created, then it makes sense. But for a time there, it was people trying to outdo each other with how much percentage they can give to the BUSD rewards, and that was kind of the
100%.
entire point of some of these projects that we saw. So it's good to see you taking that approach where you don't need a massive tax to support what you're doing, because again, the service itself is going to be your main driver. So that's good. It's a good move.
Yeah, and,
completely. And I think this is.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Mike. Go on.
No, you're good. You're good. Go.
No. I was just going to say, because I think the one thing which beyond kind of the pink sale pump and dumps, there's been a lot more credible projects come out, right? Actually, in the sphere of people who I see you on, and Unite DeFi and other projects of similar transparency, integrity in the devs and the projects, that are going to be sustainable over time, is that there's a way to work the crowd to get the initial hype and to get the initial volume, but beyond that hype. That's why I say I'm looking at, some of the projects where, exactly as you said, you've got tokens that are 25, 28% taxed. Beyond that initial pump, people looking in are going to be like, I've got to flip this 50%, with, the hype's dead, and their utility's 9 months out. Nobody's going to get in that period, because you're just not going to flip it for 50%. It's just not physically going to happen, because, the crowd isn't there the same as they are on launch day, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, and Kevin, you did a good thing to where you had your utilities really just ready to go right at launch, didn't you?
Yeah, actually, the kitchen there, that was actually we deployed that contract almost a week before our pre-sale. We took some of our private sale funds to fund that initially, and so the B kit was doing its buys even before we had the pre-sale.
Yeah, that's great. So then you could just start distributing the rewards to people, right away.
Yep.
And that's what keeps interest in projects for sure. Because, like Steve said, we all know that you have the big pump on pink sale, and then the drop off, and then the slow decline until things kind of start, moving again. Now, did you go the pink sale route? Tell me about your launch. How did your launch go? Was it pretty eventful, or is it pretty boring?
It was, and we are very proud of this. It was the most boring launch that we've ever experienced. But that's exactly what we wanted. Anybody who was there for it, we, for days ahead of time, laid out an exact timeline to the minute of when we would be doing things and when you could expect things to happen, like when we would finalize, when we were going to open it up to the public portion of the pre-sale, because we were whitelist. But everything went exactly as planned. There were no surprises. We finalized. It went to PCS. People started buying, and you can see that in the first bit of the chart there. There was no giant green candle going up. Again, part of that too, though, was in our community prior to the pre-sale, was letting people know that the nature of BSC launches is there's a giant pump at the beginning, and people will buy at the height of that green candle and then get wrecked.
Yeah.
And so we're like, we want people to invest, but if you're not comfortable like taking that risk right away, don't. Like, if you don't want to buy for a day or two, that's your call. Like, by all means, do that. Be safe about it. Again, our whole point, like our whole objective, is to make people money in the long run. And so that's part of it, is educating your investors ahead of time and make sure that they're doing things that's in their best interest, to not just aping into something and creating that overhype.
Now you've had a pretty good floor though, with your pre-sale and private sale, right? Like a lot of your guys have held on, right?
Yeah, actually, quite a few of them. That goes back to, like, if you look at the staking pool that we have I think 310 trillion tokens that are staked.
Wow,
And it's yeah,
that's massive.
That's
Jesus.
amazing. That is massive.
yeah. Our circulating supply right now is 668 trillion, and basically, half of that is staked. But yeah, that's, like I said, that's part of the process we went through for our launch. Was we vetted the whitelist. We made sure the private sale holders were, for the most part, people we knew personally, and so we knew that they were going to be long-term holders. So that LP that they injected during the private and pre-sale was going to be there, and it wasn't going to get dumped.
Man, that's so funny. I feel like I'm talking to our team with that because Steve, that's exactly what we tried to do, wasn't it?
Exactly, and I think that through projects like your own and others and communities we've been in, really, this is a token that's been created by the people for the people, and to kind of give 1,000,000% transparency and do all the things right that so many have done wrong. Right. And I think that's really what we're trying to stand behind. Beyond the utility, it's also about, the community and the people within it. And I think that's where now, if we look back at the initial private sale, it was, people we know and have been involved in other projects like yours, like others, that aren't just going to take a quick, 1x and dump it 20 seconds after it launches. They're people who are going to hold on to it. They're going to be there to support. They know that there's longevity in the project. They're not just going to run away. So we did that really, heavily with the private sale. Everyone was, we know and have known for some time that they're legit and they're going to be there to support. And also with the pre-sale, let's say, that we're going through at the moment, and we've got through quite a lot of spots, but we've still got some left. Is the community at the moment, we're just under 300. So everybody who's in here is pretty much friends and family or friend of a friend. So we're hoping that we're not discouraging people from selling. It's healthy to take profits, and actually we encourage to take profits, because we don't want to just everybody to hold and there'd be no activity at all. But take some profits, keep it healthy. But through our private and pre-sale, we're 100% confident that we've got the right people in there to give the price floor for a stable project. And as we grow this up now, we've been at around 250 to 300 members for the last kind of 2 or 3 days, and now it's about okay, how do we actually drive this up a little bit more and get to a much bigger, more active community in the run up for the next 2 to 3 weeks in preparation for launch. And I'm just trying to rack my brains how many people you had in your Telegram around launch time. I'm trying to remember who it was.
Our Telegram was only around, I want to say 12 to 1,300.
But it was just over 1,000.
Yeah, Discord we had, I think, almost 6,000.
6,000, really?
Yeah, we've still got about 5,500 in our Discord, and our Telegram's up to like 2,200. But we operate primarily out of Discord. We just like the way the organization of Discord better than Telegram.
Yeah, I think eventually that'll be a good move, that could sooner rather than later to kind of steer towards Discord rather than Telegram. These voice calls are not as good, especially with the video on Telegram, and it just seems like there's less scammers and less issues. Has that been what you've noticed as well?
Yeah, and just it's personal anecdote, but yeah, Discord really, it feels like there are less attempts to scam. I mean, they still exist. Mm-hmm. They're a little easier to spot, though.
Yeah,
and we've got one set up. We haven't really been pushing it yet. We've got one set up, right, but we haven't really been pushing it, and we really should. I think that's the next move.
Gotcha.
So what kind of techniques did you use to grow the group once you kind of got past your first like 200, 300, 400 members? What kind of things did you do to grow your group, Kevin?
We had a lot of contests. It's the other thing too that we did was, like you're doing right now, is hold AMAs early and often. Get people involved. Let them know what you're doing. The other benefit that we had of having AMAs early is we took input, because, like I said, we started our project because we were investors and we saw a problem that we thought we could solve. And so we wanted to listen to other investors. And quite a few of the things that we have implemented came from suggestions during those AMAs. And some, like, we have like the reserve B&B in our B kit. That thing has come in handy. And that was a suggestion from a community member during an AMA. So it's kind of, again, giving people a chance to get to know you, get to know the project intimately, and again, let them know that they're part of it. They're not just some anonymous person throwing money at you. They're part of your growth and part of your project. So it's what you're doing right now is great.
That's cool. That's good. Well, I'm going to give you guys a chance, for our respective communities that may not be familiar with each other. Obviously, more people are going to know about you. I see EJ slinking in. What's up, EJ? We'll give, and I always mess with him now. Every
Dirty
time
Mike.
hey. So, Steve.
How's it going, EJ?
Steve, I'm going to give you an opportunity to go first. Why don't you explain the basics on Wanchor token for those who aren't familiar that may be listening for the first time?
Sure, no problem at all. And I guess one thing that we haven't touched on the last AMA was kind of, for people new in here, everyone's like, why have you called it this crazy name? And it kind of, if you haven't seen the website, there's a little bit of a kind of a story of origin. I'm just popping it in the chat there of why, how we got to where we are today. And I think, as I mentioned just at the beginning, it was about, by the people, for the people. And this was, a group that was initially brought together by 2 or 3 different people and has grown to a group that is kind of around 40 to 50 people. A lot of people have come, a lot of people have gone, but it's, for me, the best group of guys I've ever, interacted with, and I have to say it's a real pleasure to kind of, be friends and part of this community. And that's really where this was all built. And there's a joke around, kind of, we started as kind of the educated crypto plays or educated crypto investment group. And, after some slightly reckless strategies over the Christmas period, I think it was, we took on a little bit of a different tone and said that, a lot of the projects that we went into, only a wanker would invest in. So that was kind of where that came from. It's a little bit of a joke, but it's something to kind of the heritage of the groups and the friendships that we built there. But really talking about the kind of the token. So as we talked through a little bit about at the beginning, it's around, trying something a little bit different, and looking at so many projects that come out with high tax, and then after the initial pump, if they haven't got the utility ready there in the wings kind of instantly, there's always the challenges with the volume. I don't think that the market this year in any way, shape or form has helped anyone, but we have seen that, those types of projects, have kind of saturated the market and struggled with volume. So we were just looking at a way on, how can we make it tradable? How can we make it fun? And, how can we, remove that hurdle while we bring up the staking short term, but also build out the utility of, let's say, the Fiverr for crypto and content creators to build that credible space for the future. We're launching differently. So rather than going the standard pre-sale route on Pink Sale, which we could have done, I think many of us have had not so great experiences with Pink Sale over the last at least 3 to 6 months. So we said, well, do we have to have that burden, of having to give away a certain percentage of the tokens that we then have to, try and buy back as soon as possible so they don't get dumped on the chart? How do we, remove the inhibition where people have technical difficulties of claiming the tokens and then don't get the rewards and cause loads of FUD? And so we said, we don't have to do this. So how about we go the route that we were saying earlier on, where we select and handpick, trusted friends, and people in the communities and partners to get into the private sale and hold down the floor? How can we have a more community-led and pre-sale, where community members who have joined us, and we've got some awesome guys who've come and joined us who I haven't known in the past, and I'm extremely happy that they've been able to win a pre-sale spot and be part of this. A big shout out to Mo. You've been doing an amazing job, and we appreciate you massively. And then launch this almost like what I call the stealth on steroids. So all of the technical challenges that people have, or you see a lot of people have when launching projects, are out of the way. We can launch the token whenever we want. All of the airdrops are out of the way. Everything's primed, ready to go, and we can build all of the kind of the momentum and community drive around a very, very clear time point. So it's a very intentional, different launch than others have done in the past. But we thought that would be, a good test, and something that we believe hopefully will be a role model for the future on launching on the BSC. So not having to go that pre-sale on Pink Sale or another launch pad that kind of has all those challenges where some people airdrop private sale tokens and then realize they can't actually, close the pool. So many different things. They make rookie mistakes that we don't want any of that. We want a super quiet launch, the same as what you had. And like I say, we're looking to build the community out, get things out as soon as possible, build ahead of time, and make this a fun project to be in, and something that stands the test of time.
Now, Kevin, you're going to be working with a lot of new tokens as well this upcoming year, right? With your incubation program.
Yeah, we've got a few lined up. But yeah, our plan is to take people who are attempting to start a project and walk them through the entire process. Again, from idea refinement all the way through to post-launch activities. Just try to navigate, so like I say, some of the speed bumps and hurdles that you come across when you launch on BSC.
Now, let me ask you: are you going to actually be a launch pad as well?
No, we for the launch pad we partnered up with Apollo, and they're going to be the official launch pad of our token incubation program.
Really? That's yeah. I'm hearing great
Awesome.
things about Apollo.
Yeah, I'm really a fan of what they're doing.
Well, why don't you explain a little bit? I know there's so much to BUSD Buffet, but for some of the people in Wanker that may, not be familiar with your project, why don't you give everybody a little synopsis of what BUSD Buffet is all about?
Yeah, sure. The quick summary, and even the quick one's going to seem like I'm rambling on, but essentially what we're looking to do is solve the problem of low volume affecting rewards. So the way we do that is we have a 20% tax, 10% is BUSD, 2% to liquidity, and 8% goes to what we call our kitchen. Kitchen is a separate series of contracts, and what those contracts do is regularly buy other projects' tokens. So we do that throughout the week. Once a week for the kitchen on Fridays, we will sell 20% of those tokens, use that to buy back our own token, and then burn it. And that happens every Friday. So we create some volume. We are improving our LP ratio. We are reducing circulating supply. The other contract that works similar to the kitchen is the BAP, and that does the same thing on Tuesdays, where it goes through the number of tokens it has in its pool. It sells 20% of what it has purchased throughout the week. So in short, we use a portion of the tax to buy the tokens and then sell them once a week to buy our own token, increasing the volume rewards and our use it for that buyback and burn.
Now, that seems like such a brilliant, solution to that issue of, volume dropping with reflection tokens. Do you think that that's something that's going to catch on with some newer reflection projects that have, higher taxes when they launch? Do you see other projects maybe kind of taking this similar approach to you in the future?
Possibly. Yeah, it's there. I've seen a couple projects that have inquired about doing something similar. I've explained, like one person in particular, I won't give their name, explained to them the entire process from start to finish of what we're doing. Like, so it's not just one contract. Like, no, the BUSD Buffet ecosystem at this point is 5 different contracts and 2 intermediary wallets.
Damn.
Yeah.
Now, did you design the contracts yourself?
For the most part, everything in the kitchen, yes, I did all that from scratch.
Wow.
The main BBFT contract is actually based on the Meta BUSD coin contract. Uh, it's a very solid contract. I had to make a few modifications to fit our specific need, uh, but yeah. So the utilities that we have running, those are all homemade, and then we use Meta BUSD coins contract for our main BBFT contract.
It's exciting. That's good. It's
Mm-hmm.
great that you're able to be so hands on in the process and not have to reach out to like too many other devs to kind of do your contract, to have the skill set to be able to kind of do what you want and make your vision come to life is definitely an important skill set to have for sure. That not a lot of tokens have the benefit of having with their founders.
And that's something too that we're wanting people to understand as well. When it comes to a project like this, you don't have to do everything in a single contract, and certain things you don't even have to do on the blockchain at all. There are certain functions you can do external to make sure things operate the way they're supposed to operate. There's the flexibility with this, with the way we're doing things for a project. It's kind of cool, actually. It's a lot of fun developing.
That definitely sounds like it. We can open it up to some questions if you guys like. We got like 20 people in here. You guys should be able to unmute at this point. Does anybody have any questions for these two?
Yeah, I have a question.
Oh, surprise.
Am I
What's
echoing?
up, buddy? How you doing today?
Good, man. I have two questions, one for Kevin and then one for Mike. The one for Kevin, I saw some reports from newspaper articles that were in New York City that your face was on some displays out there. Can you confirm and or deny that? And then as far as the hike went yesterday, Mike, how's the chafing going?
Man, I gotta tell you, I am chafed to all hell today. My thighs are so red, and I can barely walk today. I feel like a 90-year-old man. For those of you guys that don't know, I did a hike yesterday up a mountain, and it was a 12-mile hike. And man, I got up to the top of it, and there were flies circling me. I saw buzzards overhead. I was like, man, I think this is it. They must know something. But I powered through, and I didn't fall this time. I didn't need stitches or anything, so I am on the
No.
recovery for sure. But it was a rough one. But I want to hear about Kevin's face. So let's hear. Is there any truth to that?
My face has made its way onto a good number of things. There are a couple of different communities who have taken liberties with my likeness, and and it's yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's the first I've heard of it. Where did you see these, EJ?
No, I've gotten text messages, and there's been some pretty good photos in multiple compromising situations of his forehead that I'm just going to hold back, just depending on a situation, because as everybody hopefully knows, with all of our teams already, we all work in try to work in unity and work in sync as much as possible. And so Kevin's one of those guys that, there's usually not a day that goes by that I don't talk to one of you guys, whether it's Mike or Steve or Kevin or any of you. But we're excited for all the stuff that's coming up. We'll be with those guys on Friday, and EverReflect has some massive things planned with Buffet, some massive things planned with Wanchor. I don't know how much you guys have disclosed from that partnership side, but I do know that we made some progress with two of our other devs that I'm going to have to set up a meeting with you guys here in the very near future, because once we launch EverChart and EverPay on Friday, the next dominoes start falling, and this stuff happens fast, but at the same point, we're taking our time to make sure we're building it correctly. So we're excited.
We've actually kept it pretty quiet about the partnership with EverReflect. So now that the cat is out of the bag, we are working on some things with them that we will be revealing in the upcoming week or so. We just wanted to iron out a few more details. EJ's got some big things he's working on that is releasing. Is it Friday?
Yeah, yep, Friday. So everchart.io goes live 3 p.m. on Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Friday. So I think that's 7 p.m. UTC. Then I'll be hopping over into StreamYard and YouTube with Kevin and the buffet guys for 5 p.m. But the cool part is that we have a bunch of projects that already have ads that'll be up on EverChart, and both of your guys' projects are two that'll be heavily represented. There'll already be tabs with your guys' charts and your technical charts and everything. And so, yeah, Noodles and I have been working pretty relentless on it. And even though it's been a lot of work up to this point, it's still only V1, and it'll look pretty good. It'll have some great usability. Pricing for the digital ads is cheap. To be added to EverPay is pretty cheap. To be added to the charting system is pretty cheap. So yeah, we're excited about it.
Yeah, I seen a screenshot of the ads on it, and they actually look great. They look fantastic on there.
Yeah, and then a couple of you guys, which I'll end up posting it into some of the mod groups this afternoon. We've pretty much finalized the EverPay portal, and so we'll release that to the mods, and then obviously it won't be out for the general public, but I'm sure a few people will be able to take a look at that link and kind of see what it looks like to be able to purchase a digital ad through EverChart and how that system will work. We have Buffet, Meta BUSD Coin, EverReflect as payment options for the charts, as well as stable tokens, BUSD, BNB, Tethers, things of that nature. But yeah, we'll probably release that to the mods so that everybody can kind of start seeing it, and maybe we'll share it out to our general group so people can get an idea of what it'll look like to buy ads. And we're excited. It's a good step in the process of pay, chart, connect, and ticket. So
I want to ask each one of you three. Steve, I want to ask you first. It seemed like 2021 and the beginning part of 2022 was the year of the reflection tokens. It kind of shifted away from the pandemic meme tokens and Shiba and Doge a little bit. Where do you see the rest of this year going? Because I'm starting to see like an increase in miners and stuff like that, like Big Beans, and then there's a whole bunch of other ones, coming out. Where do you see the rest of this year going as far as like trends in the BSC space?
I have to say my personal opinion is I think we will see the good BUSD tokens survive. All the ones that launched towards the end of last year, who have awesome teams, incredible use cases, they're going to come back with an almighty boom. I think that's number one. I think that we will see less BUSD reflection tokens with a higher tax, because I don't think they can compete in the space in the future. But I have to say, I'm always looking for what that new thing is, and miners are kind of hot at the moment, but I think it's about how do you do, a miner in a credible and sustainable way. Because I think there's some great projects out there, in the limelight at the moment, but I think they're also sustainability is a challenge. And I think those miners that do have a credible use case and, other tied in utilities that can prop them up, and maybe a cap on how big these whales can get, I think they have potential. But I'm also looking at what is the really, the next really big thing that's a game changer in the space. So I think, in summary, it's kind of the really solid teams with, great BUSD reflection tokens. They're going to have their real shining time this year as they bring the utilities to life. I think other BUSD tokens are going to fall away and people are just going to stop doing them. And I think miners plus other things, which I'm looking closely to see what's coming. That's my kind of summary.
All right. What do you think, Kevin?
I think that this year will be more people being converted from moon boys to long term holders in various projects.
Right.
I think they're going to the whole era of taking $100 and turning it into $1 million overnight. It happened for so few people to begin with, and it just doesn't happen anymore. It's not realistic. So I think that people are starting to come to that realization. They're diversifying. Uh, they're looking for something that's going to be passive income. So I think the trend, in my opinion, for 2022 is going to be the long term investments becoming the mainstay.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely seems like, and I think that's also going to have something to do with the number of launch pads that are adding a lot more legitimacy by vetting these projects a little bit better that are launching. It used to be, Pink Sale was, pretty much one of the only options, and that was like the automatic thing that everybody went to when you were a new token and like a scam project, a meme token, whatever, even legitimate projects that launched on it. But it sounds like and it seems like that there's a whole lot of new competition for that will make it harder for now. Obviously, scam tokens and rug pulls always will be a part of BSC, but I think we're going to see a decrease in it in the next year or so as more legitimate launch pads are vetting these projects a little bit tighter. What do you think, EJ?
Uh, yeah, I was gonna say I think that there will be some days of reckoning with the ability for tokens to just fly off the charts, like kind of like Kevin was referencing. I think that the big paradigm shift is going to come when we start seeing projects that don't just legitimize the idea of a utility because of an idea that it's a utility, but that a utility that can actually span out in outside of Binance. I talk about that all the time, the BSC bubble, that there's too many utilities that are built specifically just for people that are kind of down the rabbit hole of BSC blockchain and not out into the general public. So I think that there's going to, and obviously I'm biased because EverReflect's focus from November has been to be what it's designed to be, a utility token, not a security. Like, we're traded and there's definitely value with holding the token. But, as far as the US government and everything looks at it, we're not a currency technically. We're not a security. So you have to actually go back to the idealistic nature of what our licensing and everything it is that we're trying to do. And because it's truly a utility token, there has to be a utility that works long term. And I think you're going to see a lot more projects that will come up with concepts and ideas to utilize a token in real world settings for real world assets. Because not that it's not good to build utilities that are specific to BSC or that they're specific to the blockchain, but I'm a big advocate that we want to be able to expand this small little bubble that we have out into the masses of the populations around the globe. Yeah. And if projects take the time to build utilities that the app, I talk about, like, Darian, the girl that I'm dating, all the time. What would Darian need to buy, or what would she need to do to be able to utilize cryptocurrency? And the reality of it is that she has to get something that's more valuable because that's the only way that she can actually get to receiving that asset. And it has nothing to do with actually being traded a token that has, a security type aspect to it. It has to be something that they're going to get it because they need the asset, and that utility token is the only way you can get that asset. I think that's going to be a big, big push for the next couple years, to be honest. I think that'll be a shift. I think that's the biggest paradigm shift that we can see in cryptocurrency, to be honest.
Now that kind of leads me into, I'm going to ask you guys each one more question so we don't run this like too late. I'm sure everybody wants to go eat some dinner. Well, not everybody, I guess, is on Eastern time, but I know a lot of you guys are, and I know it's late for Steve. It's getting late. But I want to ask you guys, I like to compare crypto to the internet, into where for the first, few years, people knew about it, certain people, used it, but it wasn't necessarily available or widespread to the whole, world. And then once smartphones came out, and specifically social media platforms like MySpace and Facebook, and then kind of Instagram then a little bit after, I like to think of that as kind of like the catalyst to what really made the internet, worldwide, just global, to where everybody had to get into it or else they kind of felt like they were like losing out. What do you
Mhm.
think that moment or that catalyst will be with crypto to make that really worldwide, widespread, that I can't miss out on this? What do you think, Steve?
I think one part is it's going to be a generational thing, and I think it's just going to happen by design. And I think that, and I know, talked to a lot of people about this in the past. When I first got into crypto, I got into kind of boring stable coins, and after a couple of months, I was like, well, this isn't really for me. I'd rather just go and put it into a fund or whatever it may be. But I think that going through, the BSC space, which is a bit like the wild, wild west, I think that, everybody on this chat and a lot of people beyond have really, learned and earned their stripes on the BSC. And I think, what you were saying, EJ, is that, if the utilities that come through that can bridge beyond this space, I think will drive crypto adoption more holistically. And I even just think of your utility, and Ticketmaster and things like that. I can see this in not too distant future, that this is the way it's going to go. And that's really my thoughts on this. Is just generationally, it's going to move in this direction. But I think more that can be bridged outside of the typical crypto space into the real world setting, the sooner that's going to happen.
What do you think, EJ? What do you think is going to be the catalyst? Do you think it could be teaching the younger generation nowadays to where they have started using crypto from like a really young age to where that's all they know, or what do you think could be that spark?
I mean, that's going to be the interesting part, because kind of what Steve kind of hit on about being a generational thing. I think that we're already in the midst of digital currency being something that, say, a child that's 8 to 12 years old right now gets the concept more than anybody that's in this chat that's maybe above the age of 40, to be honest, because you start looking at the digital consumption via screen time, whether it's on a tablet or a video game or computer, for younger generations that are playing games like Fortnite. Like Fortnite's a great example that I use all the time. That Fortnite has a utility token. I mean, it's not necessarily traded on the blockchain, but you have to buy the whatever the bucks are and convert it basically from a debit card into Fortnite currency, so that those kids can buy skins and they can buy weapons, and then they can play Fortnite, and then they can get them stolen by a 30-year-old man that's probably in his mom's basement taking weapons from a 12-year-old. But like that right there just proves the point that like kids already get the idea of digital currency. And to be honest, we kind of do too, because I think it's interesting the dependency that we've had on debit cards or credit cards. I mean, any one of us in this room right now could probably just say, as far as the assets that you have in your wallet right now, do you have more monetary value on your debit cards and your credit cards or in cash? You're going to have to say the debit and credit cards, because that's digital currency. I mean, there's not enough cash in all the banks in the world right now that everybody could take out their cash. So we're already living in the digital age as far as currency being digitalized. I think that the biggest catalyst honestly comes when governments start accepting it. It's going to be a lot of issues, because they're going to create their own currencies and their own stable coins. Yeah. But I think that really it's a catch-22 that we're going to end up having to probably have some different. That's why I'm glad that we got started now, because we're getting grandfathered in, hopefully. But in all reality, it's going to be a catch-22 in the sense that there'll have to be regulation. There'll probably have to be more taxes and different whatever. There's going to be different policies that are going to be set in place by world governments to be able to monetize the use of utility tokens and cryptocurrencies. But I think that once that happens, it opens up the validation to a lot of other people that, okay, well, if governments are starting to take and accept stablecoin cryptocurrencies that they're making their own, then maybe some of these other ones can actually be. And to be honest, I think that going back to utilities, kind of like all of us hammer home, if there's something that you have to, if you need to have a token to be able to receive something of value that you want, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, a ticket to a concert. It could be a video. It could be a program. It could be streaming something. It could be an experience. It could be travel. It could be purchasing a pet. Who knows what it'll turn into? But when people have to actually use a utility token to be able to get what they want, I mean, it's so simple. But that's really, it goes back to like the basics of bartering, and I'm going to trade you, this $10 that's in my wallet for what you're selling in your yard sale. Like, once people have to really use tokens to be able to get what they want, and if governments implement their own stable coins, that'll be, I think it brings a lot of validation.
Yeah, that's a great point. What do you think, Kevin? What do you think is going to be like that event? Do you think it's kind of a combination of what Steve and EJ said, or you think it's going to be something completely different?
No, that's 100%. There, I agree with both of them. Like I say, with EverReflect, the ticketing, people are going to use it without knowing what it is, and then when you explain to them, like, hey, that ticket that you just used, that's an NFT. Like, oh, what? Yeah, you paid for this. It's all going through the blockchain, and they're going to have that realization, like, oh, so this isn't just for dirty hackers to move mafia money. Like, no. Crypto on the blockchain can be a useful thing in the quote unquote real world. So I think it's just going to be a realization after. So you're gonna have to sort of force feed it and then tell them after the fact, hey, you just use crypto, and then it'll lose its the stigma of being this thing that only money launderers and criminals use.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Well, we're getting close to an hour here, so I'll give each one of you three one opportunity to plug something that you have coming up. Steve, you got anything you want to plug? I know you do.
Should I?
I mean, sure, you can plug the launch if you want, whatever you want, buddy.
No, I mean, I have to say, massive thanks, EJ, for the plug that you put out on a plug. We were keeping things a little bit on the down low, but I have to say, appreciate you more than you can imagine, buddy. But I have to say, the launch is going to be on the 30th of April. Super excited for it. For anyone who's in here who's new, hasn't got a pre-sale spot yet, jump into the Suite widget and also engage in our community contest. Somebody won one on Sunday night through a little bit of impromptu a cappella karaoke.
Yeah, that was great.
So be on guard. There will be challenges at upcoming AMAs for you to, ridicule yourselves. So yeah, looking forward. And as mentioned on Sunday, the big focus now is, driving this to a community level where we have an exciting and sustainable launch. I think we've got an amazing group of people in here so far. And we're having a lot of fun, but I think really we need to get the word out there more broadly in anticipation for the exciting launch at the end of the month. But massive appreciation for coming to join us and having this AMA. It's truly an honor, guys. Appreciate you all.
Thank you guys so much. All right, EJ, time to plug some of your stuff you got going on. I know you got a couple big things coming up.
Yeah, I mean we'll launch Chart and Everpay portal Friday. I'll be back in here tomorrow.
Yes.
Then Unite DeFi tomorrow night, Unify DeFi Thursday, then with Kevin on Friday.
Oh my
god. The only thing I'm really going to plug is that and I've kind of said this to almost everybody on this team. and hopefully everybody in this chat will take these words and like go back and tell your friends and family about this project. But don't sleep on Wanchor Token. Like, these guys have a dream team. And I don't say that. Like, it's so hard to put together a specific group of individuals that have a large number of assets, connections, networks. Don't sleep on this token. And this is going to be a success based on just the individuals that are involved and who I know is involved with it. And with that being said, the only issue that these guys literally are going to have is that they're going to have too many ideas and they're not going to be able to implement them as fast as they probably all want to be able to implement them. But everybody should be buying this token. Everybody should be there on the 30th to support this project. The support behind this team is bigger than what we had at Everiflect. And we had a great launch, and we've had some great sustainability, and we're going to build some kick-ass utilities. But do not sleep on Wanchor. This is going to be a massive project.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for those kind words. And you're right, man. The ideas just keep churning out. I mean, it's crazy. If you saw in the chats, like some of the ideas we're coming up with every single night. It's like, oh, we're gonna do this, too, and let's this. So, yeah, you definitely got to focus on, getting the token launch first. But definitely, we have some exciting things, coming up for sure. What about you, Kevin? Anything going on that you want to plug?
Yeah, Friday we're doing our live stream of the distribution event. It's the third one that we're doing. We have a special guest every week. We had Metacaptain on there the first one, and then APEC from Dive Wallet, and EJS. He'll be there Friday. The BTIP, we've got applications for that. We're going to start working on some of those projects, getting those pushed through. And then, yeah, we've got a couple other utilities that we're going to be launching over the next couple of weeks. So watch out for those announcements.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for coming to join me today. EJ's become a resident now on our AMAs, and we love having you here, man. We love hearing what you got to say, and just all the support you really give to everybody in the BSC space. You're definitely a great dude, and you help us all out every chance you can, and it's a really selfless thing that you do, and we appreciate you, buddy.
So do you guys, though, and so do you, especially Mike. I mean, I texted to you last night. Like, you're everywhere doing everything. I think it's the best possible thing for the Dirty Mike brand. But you put in a ton of work, and it's noticed by a lot. So thank you.
It's crazy, man. Like I was just saying before you came in, that it's been like 3 months since I made my first video, and it just literally seems like years ago because it's just all the people I've met and all the things that I've done. Now I got a token coming out at the end of the month. I mean, it's just been a whirlwind. But that's crypto, right?
But no, massively appreciate EJ. I have to say, I think on every AMA we've had so far, I've seen you lurking in the shadows. I'm just waiting for you to drop me the crippling question that derails me. So I'm just waiting for it silently.
Nah, going back to whenever we met Steve, October, November, I've always been Steve. I'm like Steve's number one fan. Like he was one of those guys that when in our first AMAs, it was truly an honor to have him in there asking me questions. It's funny how roles have reversed, but the respect and the honor, like I said, I have for these gentlemen, him especially, nothing has changed. We're the same people we were back in October and November. And I know that these guys, and myself included, we're workaholics. So you're in good hands if everybody is.
All workaholics. That's for true. Anybody else have any questions or comments or anything before we wrap this up? I saw a couple people kind of came in at the end there. Anybody have any questions?
How's it going, guys?
Hey, Johnny.
I got it. Is this recorded? That I can view the?
Yes, it is being recorded, and it will be in YouTube and in all the different chat rooms for the various groups. So, yep, it's being recorded for sure. It was a good one, so definitely you want to listen to it for sure.
Yes, awesome. I fell asleep on the couch and I just woke up and.
That's all right. We keep late hours in crypto, so it's okay to get a little nap during the day.
No, it's 6 o'clock here. I mean, it's not late. It's not late. It's just I tried watching some TV and I passed out.
It doesn't, man. That happens.
Yep.
You doing well?
All right.
Everything good?
Everything's awesome.
Awesome. Do you have any questions for anybody up here?
No, I just was wondering that if it was recorded so I could watch it later on, you know.
Sounds good. Yep. I'll be posting it in a little bit. Keep an eye out for sure.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
God bless.
God bless. Any other questions, guys? Going once? Going twice? All right, guys. Well, we're just right at the hour now. Thank you guys so much for joining me, Kevin, EJ, Steve. We'll be doing it. And it. Well, that was weird. I don't know what happened there, but it just shut it out. It cut me off. It got tired of hearing me. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining me. That signed back in. That was weird. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, I'll be putting the recording of this out in a couple hours time. So thank you guys again for joining in the questions, and we'll be back with another AMA tomorrow with EJ and Ever Reflect in the chat. So it should be a fun one for sure. Have a great night, guys. I'll talk to you guys in chat probably. Hey, Steve.
Cheers, Mike.
All right, cheers. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I guess I got tired of hearing me talk.
It wasn't me, I promise you.
No, I know it was weird. That's what I'm saying, man. We need to definitely move over to Discord.
We just got. Yeah, that's the second rug in 2 days.
I know.
So,
we definitely got rugged by Telegram. But all right, guys. Have a great rest of your night, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit.
Catch you later, guys.
All right,
Appreciate you all.